Hey everyone, welcome back to VENN Esports. I'm joined by victorious, the biggest brained coach of Thursday. It's Coach Guilhoto, who's hopped in with a 3-0 over Dignitas. How's it feel? Mo and the rest of the guys talked about the preparation coming to fruition. How's it feel for you?
I mean, it obviously, I won't say that it feels bad. It obviously feels good, but it's it's not like I'm here just super happy or anything, just because it's Dignitas, and I expected from the start that it would be Dignitas, and I knew that it was a series that there was no way that we would lose versus them. Um, but this means nothing if we lose on the next series, right? So I'm obviously happy, mostly because I think that, or the reason why I'm happy is literally just because Revenge and Insanity on their first playoffs best of five, I think they performed well. I
Yeah.
think especially Revenge, I think he had like 3 really good games. So that's the reason why I'm happy the most. The result is just something that uh, everyone should see it coming. I think it was. I mean, I guess like I did see some like dig votes here and there, but I don't know. For me, it was never. It should never come as a surprise that we would beat Dignitas on a best of five. But obviously, this best of five just means nothing if then we can't beat Team Liquid or TSM.
Well, let's dive into it. What were some of the major trends that you saw from this squad that made it a lot easier for you all to prep with 2 weeks than Dig that had 5 days, maybe less, because of their playoff series?
Yeah, no, I think it actually did give us an advantage, and that speaks to the format of the LCS, which I was also already critical about. Um, But to be fair, I think that if both teams have 2 weeks, a similar outcome would come. It's not like Dignitas is very hard to figure out. If they are not on Renekton, their top laner won't be able to do much in the game. Um, Always play Millie's mid and will always try to play hard for their 2v2. And if their bot lane doesn't snowball outside of control, then they'll just find a way to throw mid game. So I think it's 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 a team that with I mean and this with like all due respect, just because of their season was so rough with the amount of changes that they had in the roster, became a team that their weaknesses became so much more apparent, and their ways to win the game became shorter and shorter and shorter. So even though I do think it was an advantage to us, I think it wouldn't change the outcome at all.
Sure. And I mean, I think you have experience to speak to that, as Immortals is one of the few teams that didn't make roster swaps the whole year. I think the others being just TSM, right? As CLG had maybe CLG once everyone got in from visas, but that was still a little late. So
Yeah.
I guess then you've talked a lot about, well, it doesn't matter if we don't win this next series, but you've also highlighted we had more time to prepare, the extra week to prepare. How do you feel about this upcoming series against an opponent that you won't know until literally Sunday, right? I think Sunday is when we play the TLTSM
Yeah.
game.
I mean, obviously this one is not as easy to predict who will be our opponent as the previous series. Between I think TSM and TL are both very strong teams. Obviously, TL had a much weaker, or to be fair, for the roster that they have, a pretty bad regular split. But then on their series against Cloud9, they showed as one of, if not the best team currently in the LCS. Um, when obviously we still need to see TSM play, but I think 100 Thieves will not be able to even match the level of play that TL had. So it obviously becomes very hard to predict between those two, and those two are very, very hard opponents. Um, so right now, what we'll end up doing is similar thing to we'll have to see before we know who our opponent is. We have to look at ourselves, the things that we did bad in this series, and how can we improve. And once we know the opponent, then we'll start adapting into whoever our opponent is. And as the boys probably already said, I think we all rather face TSM than Team Liquid, just because there's something to prove, since TSM was the only team that we couldn't beat throughout the whole year.
That's so surprising. I mean, yes, that is what they said. And yes, they brought up that stat. I picked TSM to win. I was the only one that picked TSM to win on Face Check because I feel like I value their consistency over the year than this spike that we saw from TL against Cloud9 that everyone knows is slumping. So is that not a consideration for y'all, or it's just like, it's more this vendetta thing?
Okay.
See?
I mean, to be fair, we have been screaming both teams, obviously, and like for us, it's just the vendetta thing. I think both opponents are like extremely hard. I don't think it's like on our place to say we want to play versus X team because we know that we will be like favorites versus that team or the other one. We won't be favorites versus any of those teams. So the grudge thing, it's something that I think our team does really well, and at least I do it a lot, where we have to always find something that gives us the extra edge. And that's why I believe that, like, even Mitch today tweeting about the let's do it for Dardoch, that was like our motivation factor for this week. And for the outside, it won't make sense, but we try to put that in our heads to give us that extra edge. Today it was the let's do it for Dignitas. That's why you have my tweet saying that never lost to Dignitas without Dardoch. And it seems like we are bantering the other team, but that just comes from what was the thing that we said to ourselves to motivate us. Obviously,
Yeah.
I talked about this in the past as well. When we faced 100 Thieves, the whole situation with their players accusing us of faking a fire alarm, it's something that we will always bring up in a game against 100 Thieves, because that's the extra motivation factor. And against TSM, we have to find something, and that something is we never beat them during the year, so we have to beat them. And if we go to TL, we'll probably find something. And if we have to lie to ourselves, and if we have to go through something that is not true to have that extra motivation and that extra edge, then we'll do it.
I love that. Also, it is kind of funny. It's like, yeah, our extra motivation against TSM is that they proved that they're clearly better than us in the past.
It's not about proving they're better than us. It's the only team in the entire league that we didn't beat.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if we beat them, we have beaten every team in the entire league during the year. So then that's an achievement in itself.
Let's rewind a little bit here. I guess when you took the job and coming out, originally, Immortals playoffs, as well as now 2 wins away from Worlds. Was this, were these the goals that you had set out when you had made it out here? Or is this, hey, this is great and we're going to find a way to get it done, but this is house money?
This is what?
House money. It's like a gambling term where it's like, oh, you made the money already and anything more that I make is house money. You've never heard that before?
What? I mean, I just don't think that makes sense.
That's what it's called.
At least like when it comes to competition.
Okay. So
right, we obviously want to go more. It's like if you ask at the start of the year if we would take this position, of course we would. The goal was always to find a core for the team and have a multi-year project where finding a core in the first year, we can then improve both the infrastructure of, or especially the infrastructure of the organization and how we want to do things, and start having regular presences in playoffs and start aiming realistically for Worlds. But obviously, once we are here, there's no doubt in our mind that we can reach Worlds. It's not impossible. It's not impossible at all. I don't think there's like a 2019 G2 here that can't just lose the best of 5. That team doesn't exist in NA. I think that EG had a worse series versus Dignitas than us. I still consider them a better team than us, but that happened. I think 100 Thieves had insanely amount of off games, so they're beatable. TL had a very good series, but they had like a terrible regular split for their standards of their team, so that's beatable. TSM is the only one that I can't find you something to do to say it, because I do think that they were consistent, but from scrims they are very much beatable. And who am I missing? And C9 is like with Golden Guardians. Like it's, and people even know that that series is not even going to be one-sided from the way that C9 is playing. So why wouldn't it be possible for us to aspire to more? Why would anyone be satisfied for this roster to be where we are? It just, it's, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to us.
Good. Well, you guys took the first step towards making those dreams a reality. 3-0 over Dignitas. Coach Guilhoto, always a pleasure to have a conversation with you, brother.
All right, thank you, dGon. See ya.
See ya.